73% of C-suite executives report chronic sleep deprivation. Yet they spend $0 optimizing the one system that controls every decision they make. Elite athletes treat sleep like a competitive advantage. Most leaders treat it like a luxury they can't afford. That gap is costing you millions. Think about your last executive decision. The one you second-guessed. The one that cost time, money, or credibility. Now ask yourself, how much sleep had you lost that week? Research from UC Berkeley shows that sleep deprivation reduces decision-making accuracy by up to 40%. You're not making worse choices because you lack intelligence. You're making worse choices because your prefrontal cortex is running on fumes. The stress never stops. Your phone buzzes at 11 p.m. with an urgent email. You wake at 3 a.m. thinking about quarterly projections. Your cortisol stays elevated. Your HRV tanks. Your immune system becomes a liability. You catch every cold your team brings into the office. You feel wired but exhausted. You reach for your fourth coffee by noon. You snap at your direct reports over things that wouldn't have bothered you 6 months ago. This is not burnout. This is a systems failure masquerading as ambition. What you're about to learn comes directly from the performance science used by NBA teams, Olympic programs, and the Navy SEALs. Not theoretical wellness advice. Not another meditation app. This is the exact framework elite athletes use to recover faster, think clearer, and sustain competitive edge across decades. 3 specific interventions. Each one is non-negotiable. Each one delivers measurable ROI within 2 weeks. We'll show you how to engineer your sleep architecture like a performance engineer, not a tired executive hoping for 8 hours. We'll decode the energy management system that world-class performers use to stay sharp without the crash. And we'll give you the stress resilience protocol that separates people who burn out from people who perform under pressure year after year. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your current approach to health is actually a tax on your performance. And you'll have a blueprint to reverse it. Point. Sleep is not a recovery tool. Sleep is a cognitive amplifier. Most executives talk about sleep like it's a nice to have. Get it when you can. 8 hours would be ideal but unrealistic. That framing is backwards. A 2019 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that executives who consistently slept less than 6 hours showed cognitive decline equivalent to aging 3 to 7 years. You're literally losing years of mental capability every week you're chronically sleep deprived. That's not poetic. That's measurable neurological damage. The mechanism. During deep sleep, your glymphatic system clears metabolic waste from your brain, including amyloid beta protein. Insufficient sleep means that toxin accumulates. Your prefrontal cortex operates at degraded capacity. Your risk assessment fails. Your strategic thinking becomes reactive instead of proactive. You're solving problems 3 moves behind the actual chess game. Look at the example of Jeff Bezos. For decades, he treated sleep as a luxury. Then he changed his approach. Bezos publicly committed to 8 hours per night as a non-negotiable business priority. He calls it the single most important factor in his decision-making capability. He didn't do this because it felt good. He did it because it made him sharper. He credits his sleep optimization with clarifying major Amazon strategic decisions worth billions in value. Here's your application. Treat sleep like a quarterly earnings target. Not optional. Not aspirational. Built into your calendar with the same protection you give board meetings. Aim for 7 to 9 hours. Measure it. Use a wearable device like an Oura Ring or a Whoop strap to track sleep duration. Sleep stages. An HRV. Your HRV is your real-time window into nervous system recovery. If your HRV is low, your decision-making is compromised. That data becomes your leading indicator of performance readiness. Then work backwards. If you need 8 hours of sleep and you wake at 6, you sleep at 10 p.m. That's your anchor. Everything else in your evening schedules around it. Point. Energy is not unlimited. Energy rhythms are predictable and engineerable. The second mistake executives make is treating energy like a battery you drain throughout the day and refill at night. If only it were that simple. Your energy operates in 90-minute cycles called ultradian rhythms for roughly 90 minutes. Your cortisol and blood glucose support focused, high-quality work. Then your system needs a real reset. Not email. Not a meeting. Not pushing through. A genuine 15 to 20-minute pause. The evidence comes from sleep researcher William Dement and has been replicated across thousands of performance contexts. During your peak 90-minute window, your dopamine and norepinephrine levels support deep focus. After that window closes, your adenosine levels rise. That's the neurotransmitter that signals fatigue. If you ignore that signal and power through, you're running on adrenaline and cortisol. That works for a few hours. But by day 3 or day 4, your cognitive performance crashes. You're depleted. You make poor decisions. You get sick. Your mood degrades. Consider the model used by the Cleveland Clinic. They implemented 90-minute sprint and recovery protocols with their senior physician teams after a 90-minute surgery or high-stakes clinical decision block. Doctors took a mandatory 15-minute pause. No charting. No calls. Real recovery. The result. Diagnostic accuracy improved by 12%. Medical error rates decreased by 18%. Physician burnout dropped. They weren't working harder. They were working in sync with their actual physiology. Here's how you apply this to your day. Map your peak cognitive windows. These typically occur in the first 90 minutes after you wake, and again mid-morning after a brief reset. Schedule your most critical thinking work during those windows. Strategic planning. Major decisions. Complex problem solving. Protect those blocks like they're revenue-generating meetings. Because they are. After 90 minutes, take a real pause. Not a walk to the next meeting. A 15 to 20-minute reset. This could be a walk outside, breathing work, a light meal, or low-intensity movement. The science is clear. You recover faster during light activity than during continued work. Then you enter your next 90-minute window with restored capacity. Your afternoon meetings. Email processing. Administrative tasks. Schedule those during your lower energy windows when deep focus isn't required anyway. You're not managing energy less. You're managing it smarter. Point. Stress resilience is a trainable metabolic skill. The final shift separates leaders who perform under pressure from leaders who accumulate chronic stress and eventually break. Most executives believe stress is something that happens to you. That's why they focus on stress management. Meditation apps. Vacation. Massage. Those feel good, but they're reactive. They treat stress as an external problem. Elite athletes treat stress resilience as a trainable metabolic capacity. New research from Stanford University shows that stress itself is not inherently harmful. What matters is your physiological response to stress. Athletes trained in high-intensity interval training, cold exposure, and controlled breathing develop a robust parasympathetic response. When stress hits, their vagus nerve activates. Their nervous system downshifts. Their thinking remains clear. They don't panic. They don't freeze. They act. The clearest example: Navy SEALs training. SEALs don't avoid stress during training. They deliberately engineer extreme stress. They're cold-shocked, sleep-deprived, physically exhausted, disoriented. And during that stress, they're required to execute complex problem-solving. Why? Because they're teaching their nervous system to maintain cognitive function under real threat. They're building parasympathetic tone. The result: when actual combat stress occurs, they respond calmly and strategically. Their nervous system recognizes the stress and downshifts instead of upshifting into panic. Here's your application. You don't need SEAL training, but you need deliberate stress inoculation. Start with breathing protocols that activate your parasympathetic nervous system. The 4-7-8 breathing pattern. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. Practice this for 5 minutes daily. It trains your vagus nerve. It lowers your baseline cortisol. It gives you a recovery lever you can pull even during high-stakes moments. Then add cold exposure. Start small. End your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. Gradually increase. Research shows that regular cold exposure improves. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.